The fixture list has been very kind to us in our opening 4 games of the season, and we have had some very good results and we are very much in form. And today we're taking on Leicester, another team that we should be beating comfortably. But we got to make sure that we set up properly for Leicester to ensure that we get the result that we want. Let's go and kick some balls. Hello and welcome back to a season with Aston Villa, a season we are using the Data Hub and Chalkboard to try and maximise our potential in the Premier League, to try and get the best possible finish in the league that we possibly can. And if you are a first-time visitor, I'm Phil and welcome to the channel. And if we have a look at the fixture list, you can see that we have played 4 in the Premier League and we have won 4. We have been very successful up to now, and what's very impressive is that we've kept 4 clean sheets. We are flying at the moment and seem unstoppable. But when you look at the fixture list, we've played West Ham, Southampton and Nottingham Forest, games we would expect to win normally. The only tricky fixture we had was Newcastle, and we managed to come away with a 1-0 victory against Newcastle. But it was a game in which we totally changed the way that we were playing. We got absolutely hammered, in all honesty, but somehow Lady Luck came down on our side and we managed to beat them by a 1-0. So all in all, it's been a perfect start, you would think, to the season. But we do need to be careful with tougher games coming up in the Champions League and later in the month in the Premier League. But we have settled on this 4-3-3. We changed it from the 4-2-3-1, but we've now switched over to the 4-3-3. We've been using the first few games to experiment with the 2 tactics, and I think that I prefer this system. If we go to our last game and have a look at our last match passes, and we can find that in the analytical data, we'll just go in and click on Aston Villa and we will load up the passes combinations for Aston Villa. And so as you can see, most of our play was down the left hand side, and once again Ollie Watkins and the right hand side of the pitch seem to be relatively isolated. Now this might seem odd, and there are a number of things that might seem odd in the way that we've set up. For example, Buendia and Matty Cash seem very close together, and then we have Ollie Watkins again, who's totally isolated from the rest of the team. And we did have a discussion about this when I was doing a live stream with Ipswich, and we talked about why players were isolated. And in order to understand this from this pass map, we have to understand the roles that we are asking the players to perform. So let's start by looking at our midfield, and we've got a lovely little pivot set up here. Kamara is receiving the ball a lot, and he's pretty much distributing the ball all over the pitch. But his focus is mainly down the left-hand side. Now, why is this happening? Well, in order to understand this, we've got to look at the roles. On the right-hand side, we have Matty Cash on an attack duty. And then we also have Tielemans, who's also on an attack duty. Now, putting them on an attack duty means that their responsibility is to get into further positions. Their job is to get into attacking positions. Tielemans' job as an attacking central midfielder is to get high up the pitch, to get himself into forward positions in order to give himself a chance of scoring goals. Matty Cash, because he's on attack duty, he's instructed also to get as high up the pitch as he can to try and create chances for the forward players. On the left-hand side of the field, we have John McGinn, who's on a support duty. Now, what his job is to support the player who's on the ball. So he is interacting with Kamara much more than Tielemans is. He's also interacting with the players near to him, and so we have a lot of possession going on the left-hand side. Maatsen on this side is also on a support duty, so he's instructed to get himself into positions as well where he can receive the ball. He's not instructed to go flying up the pitch where he's out of touch with the players who are near him. So that would apply to Ollie Watkins as well, because Watkins is on an attack duty. So his job is to get himself as far forward as possible to try and create chances for himself. And that means that he is isolated from the little passing triangles that are going on. He's not interested in being involved in this. He's just trying to get into advanced positions. Now, the problem that we have with Kamara, while he's very decent doing the role that he does, he doesn't have the greatest vision and passing in order to be able to find these attacking players. So he's taking the safer option, which is fine. It's working out absolutely perfectly because we are winning our games. But it is something that we will need to look at later. We will need to look at, are we set up correctly when it comes to playing the bigger teams who are going to be more defensively capable, and are we maximizing our best players, and are we using them to their full potential in order to create attacking situations? But that is something for later. At the moment, we are doing extremely well. And having done the analysis at the end of the last video, you can see that we totally destroyed Nottingham Forest, really. We won the battle for possession in the middle of the field, and we came out deserved 2-0 winners. So we now have to go and play Leicester, a team that we should be winning, because if we go and have a look at what Leicester have to offer, we'll first go to the scout report as we normally do, and it doesn't seem that they have a great deal to offer. They don't have a great deal of pace and acceleration, and also their balance and agility is not that great. And what I'm doing when I'm looking through these things is I'm looking for groups. So if they have a great deal of pace, it's not much good on its own. Pace comes with acceleration and also balance and agility. So if they've only got good pace and the balance and agility is not very good, then it really isn't going to help them at all. And if their dribbling and crossing isn't very good either, then they're not going to be too much of a threat going up the wings. The other things that I'm looking at, for example, is strength and bravery, tackling, aggression, and their first touch, because that will be an indication that if all those are weak, then we can be putting pressure on their back line, trying to get them to make mistakes. And so Leicester, looking at this team report, really don't have a great deal to offer when it comes to attacking threat. And I think it's a game we should win comfortably as long as we set up properly. Looking at the analyst report, one of the interesting things to look at is the formations that they've faced. And they have faced a 4-2-3-1 most of the time, 49% of the time. They have faced a 4-3-3, 16% of the time. And if we compare the clear-cut chances for and against, for the 4-2-3-1, they create a chance every 31 minutes and a chance against every 117 minutes. Playing against the 4-3-3, they create a chance every 13 minutes, but they concede chances every 39 minutes. And for us, that is a bonus because we are playing very well in the 4-3-3. Next, I'm going to go to their schedule. I'm going to have a look at their last game against Ipswich and how they played against Ipswich. And they kind of shared the game. I think that they both try to play possession football. Leicester try to get it out more to the flanks. But overall, I think that Ipswich did enough. They had most of the possession. Ipswich had 55% of the possession. They won the possession battle. 8 chances, 3 on target. Leicester were wasteful in front of goal. And if we go to the analytical data now and we have a look at the pass map for Leicester, we can see that most of their play was going down the left-hand side. They do have this little double pivot there, which seemed to have a little bit of success, But overall, they really struggled to find players in attacking positions. And I really couldn't see anything here that would worry us. With only 2 in midfield, I felt that we could dominate this midfield area, and that would be the key to our success. Continuing on with what we'd done against the other opposition. If Leicester are rumoured to be going to play in a wing play style, I wanted to just take a look at the number of crosses that they completed. And there were only 5. Let's clear that data. And there were only 5 crosses that were actually completed, and 2 of those were corners. And so really, in terms of their threat from crosses, and there were 19 crosses that were unsuccessful, mostly coming from down the left-hand side, they really didn't represent a threat to us. And if we have a look at the players now and look at the Leicester players, they really only had 1 forward up top. And if we look at his aerial challenges, he lost all his headers. He doesn't represent much of an aerial threat, and so crossing to look for aerial threats into the box doesn't seem to be paying off for them, and I think we'll be able to defend against those crosses quite easily. I think looking at this Leicester team, there's not really much more to do except to focus on how we are going to set up, and I wasn't going to change anything. We had just gone into this style of play. It's a fixture we should be winning, and I think we'll stay playing in the way that we are playing. And so now let's go and find out what happened. And so another victory. And what's really impressive is that in our opening 5 games, we've got 5 clean sheets. Not a single goal scored against us to this point in the season. But do bear in mind that the fixture list has been very kind to us. And the only team that we've really played that would be maybe a better team than we are is Newcastle. And Lady Luck shined on us that day, and we came out with a 1-0 victory. I don't know how. We were battered, but we'll take the result. And now, having played weaker sides, we've gone on and we've got 15 points from 15 available. We do now have to go into a series of more difficult games, and Club Brugge next, and Crystal Palace and Liverpool will give us much sterner tests. If we go and have a look at how we performed on the day against Leicester, you can see that we clearly outplayed them. We had 59% of the possession. We kept the ball from them. That was always the plan, to dominate the midfield, to play controlled passing and to keep the ball away from Leicester. And because they didn't have the ball, they couldn't really create chances. We knew that they were going to be dangerous down the flanks, but we also knew that Vardy was not an aerial threat, and so I felt we could defend against that. We overperformed in terms of our XG. We only had an XG of 1.48, but we came out very worthy winners by 3-0. If we're going to have a look at the positioning of our players, let's have a look at the pass map for Aston Villa. Again, you can see a lot of the play is going down the left-hand side. And that is because John McGinn is playing on this support role. And in his support role, he's instructed to find himself positions where he can receive the ball from players on the ball. We've got these two again out on the right who look a little bit isolated, but you can't always believe what you're seeing here. Because Matty Cash is on an attack role, he is instructed to get forward as much as possible. Watkins is also fairly isolated, although he was a lot more involved in the game today, and nice to see him getting on the score sheet. And he's also instructed to get into forward positions, so they're not going to be looking to receive the ball. Whereas John McGinn here is instructed to go and help to support the players in possession. So he's putting himself into a position where he can receive the ball. And hence that's why a lot of our play is going down the left-hand side. It does raise issues, a couple of issues being that whilst we are scoring goals, it's absolutely fabulous. This system is working perfectly well. We've got this lovely pivot in midfield who's distributing the ball, and we're extremely good in possession at the moment. But there will come a time when the goals start to dry up, and then maybe we've got to look at certain things. We've got to look at the positioning and the availability of Watkins. He has a good pass completion, and are we using him to the fullest extent? And I will also have to look then at this right-hand side when we're playing against better teams. Do they need to be a little bit more supportive of the midfield players? So all that's to think about for a different team in the future. A team that we are going to find defend a lot better and our goals start to dry up. That will be an interesting analysis, perhaps for Club Brugge, when we will have to start using much more data during the game in order to break down defences, because at some point our goals are going to dry up and we are going to start conceding goals. But at the moment, I'm a very, very happy manager. The email that I received prior to the game said Aston Villa's home advantage gives them the edge in what should be a close encounter against newly promoted Leicester. I didn't agree. I thought that it was a game we should be winning. We were the form team. We were top of the league. Leicester was struggling, and I think we should be winning this. I think that assessment by the media is absolutely wrong. And so when we played the game 10 times, this is what happened. We won the game 9 times and lost only once. I think the media got that wrong. I think we were the stronger team, home advantage as well, and we totally destroyed them, both in the main save and in the mirror save that we're doing. And so what a great start to the season. I certainly wasn't expecting it, but tactically we've been setting up for the teams that we've been playing. We've been spending a lot of time analysing the opposition, analysing our own performance, and looking at our own performance in the last couple of games. There are still some issues that we need to resolve. We've got more difficult fixtures coming up, so now is the time to resolve those issues. And so that's it for this episode. Thank you again for watching, and I hope you found it informative. And you know the drill. Subscribe, like, communicate, all that good stuff. And stay informed, stay notified when we upload the next video. And all that remains to be said now is from a very happy manager here at Villa Park. Stay safe. Take care. I'll see you for Crystal Palace.